Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Hello, my name is Lina. I am the director at Roots Journal, and today we're going to have a small interview with Yara. So I'm just going to add Yara now into the live, and I'm going to ask her a few questions. Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
It's really nice to meet you, well, virtually, but still.
Yeah, I cannot wait to meet you, after, the lockdown measures are
Of
lifted,
course.
etc. and safe. And
Yes,
yeah, but
obviously.
I'm very, very excited to do this.
Same. So Yara, before we start, would you like to introduce yourself before I ask you questions, basically?
Okay, so my name is Yara, and I'm British Lebanese. Uh, I'm currently at university studying liberal arts, but I really enjoy doing modeling. I'm interested in fashion and photography, and I spend a lot of time doing activism. So I'm with my local Amnesty International group, I'm with my local Friends of Palestine group. I've attended protests, and I advocate for Black Lives Matter. I'm very much interested in helping the cases in Yemen and Syria, things like that. That's what I like to
Of
do,
course,
which
yes.
is why I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion.
Me too. I'm really excited to ask you questions and have a discussion with you.
Mm.
Um, so the first question I would like to ask you
Mm.
is, what is home for you? I mean, what does home means to you? Like, what is your definition of home, basically?
Uh, I find it very difficult to answer that question because uh, growing up, I've had quite like a difficult background. So for 16 years, I lived in an abusive household,
Okay.
and I left home at 16. And from 16 onwards, I've been homeless, or I've been in and out of the foster care system, or I've been in and out of hostels. And because of this, it has made it very difficult for me to identify a place of belonging, a place where I feel settled. So I guess the way I would like to define home for me is a place where uh, I have stability, um, I have a community, I feel safe, um, and I do feel like it would contribute to shaping me and my identity. So I would have symbols that surround me, uh, that suggest that this is my home. You can tell that Yara lives here.
Okay. And in terms of, because obviously this is, if you don't mind me saying that, more the personal experience, but in terms of geographically speaking, will it be more Lebanon or England or any other place you've lived in? I know it's a hard question, but obviously
Yeah.
this is the purpose of the life.
It's I think it's a really interesting question to see what I associate with more. Uh, I it's really difficult, and when I watched the live with you, uh, not too long ago, what you said really resonated with me, which is, uh, when I was born here, but
Yes.
because of the way I was raised, um, I had a very strange upbringing. So for the 15 years I was at home it was like living in Lebanon. It was just
Okay.
completely, um, there was no English TV really. You know, you spoke Arabic, the meals
Of,
were Arabic, you know, all things like that.
yeah.
But because it was abusive, I didn't get to have, hi Grace, I didn't get to have,
Hi, everyone.
I didn't get to friends round, I didn't get to visit
Okay.
friends. And because of this, I didn't get to participate in the English culture or understand it.
Okay. I see.
And when I would go to school, it was very obvious. I felt very disconnected. Um, you know, I felt that I looked different. The things I would eat for lunch, people
Yes.
noticed, and it was very much about, oh, that's gross. And, you know, for me, I was really excited about lunch. And then that made me feel kind of ashamed. Um, but then it was just, but since leaving home, I felt a complete disconnect from my Lebanese, you know, heritage, because I don't have any Lebanese friends up until university. And I only started university last September.
Okay.
Uh, So that's the first time I met another Arab person in my life. Um, so I grew up in a predominantly white area. And in my school, I remember that in my year group, there was only, it was just white. And then we had maybe 2 Asians or one, uh,
Okay.
3 black students, and then the one Arab, which was me. And
Okay.
so you definitely, it's hard to know which one I associate with more, because I don't feel connected to either at times or welcomed into either at times, because I
It's
feel like I don't have enough elements to be English. I don't have enough elements to be Lebanese. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean. It's just to point out the thing you said about being in a white school. Obviously, I mean, your parents are both from Lebanon, and I'm from Morocco. And you know, I think it's really bad to say that, but I feel like you and I, compared to maybe other people from the MENA region, are lucky because we could pass as white. And it's really bad and it's horrible, but it's just the truth. Like, I have some friends who are from Morocco as well, but I would
Mm.
say they have more Arab features than myself. It's really
But that's
complicated, you know.
and
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to, you know, convey when I was taking part in the live the other time. It's
Time,
like
yes.
when you're Arab, I feel like a lot of people don't know where to place you. So my mom, she gets like Turkish, and my younger sister gets Spanish. I get Greek.
Yeah.
But you are, and what's really interesting is because you are sort of white passing. Um, Obviously, you know, I've been thinking about what privileges come with that,
Of
but
course.
also it really, it's hard because I've had, you know, uh, people of color and white people
Okay.
both tell me I don't look Arab, you know,
Yes.
and it's like, what is it supposed to look like? And then I made that joke. What do you want me to look like, Shoel?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you cannot. The beautiful thing about being from the MENA region is
Mm.
actually this, you know, multicultural aspect that we have. For example, like in Morocco, people have been mixed with Spain, Portugal, everywhere. Oh, I don't know what happened. Sorry. And it's the same in Lebanon. I mean, I know that people in Lebanon are really mixed as well, and it's
Mm.
beautiful. But I find it really like unfair that some of us could pass as white, if that makes sense.
Mm.
But yeah,
Mm.
I agree with you. We can't really. I mean, we
Yeah,
can
and
only
this is
read about
me.
white
It's,
people.
but this is the thing, because it's made me, it's since the Black Lives Matter movement has come about, it's made me
Yeah,
understand it in a different way, which is now
of
it's made
course.
me understand I have this privilege, and I'm very grateful for this privilege.
Yes.
But you know, before I had this perspective on it, it was I would get quite tearful and I'd get really upset because I felt like, okay, my skin is not tan enough, my hair isn't dark, and this and that, and you know,
Yes.
um, and and when you get told again and again by white people, Arab people, or literally anyone,
Yeah.
oh, you're Arab? Are you sure? Like, yeah,
It's
I'm
not.
sure. And I get upset because it's like, if I tell you where I'm from, just that's it. If I say I'm from, because I was born in London, so if I say I'm from Kingston, you don't need to say, okay, but what about your parents? Or if I say I'm from Lebanon, people always say, okay, but is that your mom or your dad's side? No, both. That's, you know, people think you're mixed or this or that. And uh, I have been really frustrated with it, and it does. It's also like that thing because, you know, I'm also Muslim, and it's like the amount of times I get called, okay, I get told you don't look Muslim, and
Oh,
it's like,
someone told me that as well. The thing is, the biggest, like the largest Muslim population is in Indonesia, which they are Asian looking. So why are people always thinking we should look like a certain, you know, category? Like even there are some people in Russia who are Muslim as well. So we don't really have a specific
the last
physique.
time I checked, it's the fastest growing religion. So your white neighbor could be Muslim. What are you gonna say then?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What are you gonna say?
Yeah, exactly. Just to move on to the culture section, actually, can you give us some examples or, you know, define your culture?
Uh, define my culture. Well, I am fortunate enough to have two cultures, the Lebanese aspect and the British English aspect. So where I want to look first is the Lebanese part of me, because I don't like dismissing that,
Of course.
which is it's very similar to the things you said actually in the previous live, which is the sense of community that comes with food.
Yeah,
Uh, big
exactly.
food lovers, and you know how uh, I feel like when you know you deal with Arab communities, everyone is like your uncle and auntie, even if it's not blood related.
Yes,
You know, you have
your
this
transparent.
association. Yeah,
Yes.
and in a way that's really nice because it gives you this feeling of home and security, and it feels like you always have someone to turn to and someone who will look after you and make sure you're doing okay. I feel like comparing this with British culture, in my experience, they're a bit more cold. They're not as affectionate. You know, we greet people by,
Yeah,
and for them, a
exactly.
handshake is too much. um, but things I would perhaps contrast is I feel like Lebanese people, Arabian people, they gossip a lot. Uh,
Exactly.
and I've found with the English culture, even though I feel like people talk and people always gossip, the English culture, you know, it's more you don't talk about it, you know. Uh,
Yes, it's like secretive.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not very open. I feel with my Lebanese culture also, how you present yourself,
Okay.
uh, and your reputation and how
Oh,
people
yes.
see you. Do not bring shame to your family. Do not bring shame to yourself. So I feel like everything you do, the way you speak, the way you behave, um, uh, the job you have, the family, you know, it reflects so much on how people perceive you, and I feel like this is relaxed in the English culture again,
Sure.
uh, because here I feel like um, it differs because I know that you'll have some of your English friends who will say, okay, but my mum is strict and she wants me to do this. But on the whole, I've seen that you can essentially have more freedom of choice of what you want to do or what you say, and your parents are like, okay, you are your own person. Whereas in Lebanon, your parents are like, you come from me, so
Yeah,
you must.
you have to do this and this. Yeah, that's true. You kind of represent your parents, and I think, for example, you know, I guess it's the same in Lebanon then, but for example, if someone asks you, what are you studying? And the answer is not medicine or engineering or law,
Law.
you're not
Yeah.
doing good studies. And
Mm.
I hate that because it doesn't mean anything, you know? And I mean, that's how we are, but it's just when I arrived in the UK, I was so surprised because I noticed people were not really focused on your studies as much, you know?
I'm
So,
just
yeah,
reading as how do you
how
deal
do
with
you
that?
deal with that?
Uh,
It's hard.
it's this is hard, yeah, because especially, I don't know about you, but for me growing up, everything I did for my parents, you know, and it was,
For your parents, okay.
yeah. So all of my actions and decisions were to ensure that they were proud, and that
Okay, yeah.
they felt happy about the direction I was taking in my life. Uh, so and now that I'm not at home, I've had to do all of this kind of reflecting of, is this what I really wanted? Or is this because I was told that this is the life I should have, and was I doing it for someone else? You know, I am my
Yeah.
own person. And uh, when you aren't when you disappoint your parents, especially I feel like in the Arab community, the Arab culture, it's very hard to come back from. You have to do 110% more
Yes.
to win them back, and it's very difficult. If I was at home, my mum would not have supported my modeling career, but my modeling career has, you know, brought me income, brought me friends and a community. It's brought me opportunities like this, but they don't see that. You know, they just think you're going into an industry which for them is probably just sex or
It's just
something.
like, yeah, yeah, I
Mm.
know.
They don't. I feel like there is they.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What did you say, Day?
They don't like respect or understand the creative industry as much.
Yes, I agree.
Uh,
Just anything that is not science, basically.
yeah, they, and I want to say okay because they are worried about you and they want to ensure that you are settled, etc. But I feel like they don't trust in you that you
Yeah.
kind of know, or they don't even push you into where you are talented. So you might be very good at
Yeah.
art, drama, but they push you into the maths and science, and then you struggle here, and then they can't understand why you're struggling. And even if you do get the job, you don't move up because, you know, and then your mental health fucks up. You know, all these things. All of these factors contribute to it, and I don't think it's recognized as much.
I agree. And Lamia, I agree with you. We only find ourselves in uni, yes, because our parents are always behind our backs. Otherwise, Yara, I
Mm,
have another question for you about culture.
mm.
Um, it's obviously it's another hard question. But are there any elements that you don't really like about your cultures, or actually element that you love about your culture?
What I'm gonna start with what I love.
Okay.
Uh, I love the people. I feel like I love how loud we are, how passionate and expressive we are, uh, and I love our music. I love our food. There is nothing like Lebanese food.
Yes,
Anytime I
so
tell
good.
anyone I'm Lebanese, the first thing they say is, "I love
The food.
Lebanese food."
Sure, sure.
Um, so I'm very, I really have a lot of it, and the smell. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yes,
When
yes. when I arrived in Morocco, there are like so many smells. Yes,
Well,
true.
yeah, and I mean, speak to anyone, they say a certain smell reminds them of home.
Yeah.
So yeah, if yeah, Grace is saying she
Oh,
loves.
Grace, so cute.
Uh, um, what else do I love? I actually love the culture. I do. I love that culture is important in Lebanon and Middle Eastern cultures. That the emphasis of family and the emphasis of having friends in the community and referring to everyone as your cousin or auntie or uncle, having a connection.
Important we all eat together.
Gossip, like we spoke
Yeah,
about earlier.
the gossip. Yes.
Yeah, because I find that if you sometimes want to confide, is that the word? When you want to speak to someone
Yeah.
uh, uh, and it's about something important to you, what then begins to happen is everyone knows. And
You have to be careful.
yeah, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Uh, other aspects I don't like is what we again were discussing earlier, this pressure
The pressure,
to
yeah.
because you lack independence because of it. Like
Yes.
Lamia said, you find yourself at university
Exactly.
if you can make
If
it,
you
you know.
can go, yeah, exactly.
Because there's also especially pressure on women to stay home, get married, or stay home and look after mama and baba. Uh,
Mm.
and so it becomes difficult for us to develop as women and individuals and know what we want to do because we are the daughter and then we are the wife and then we are the mother, you know. So that
Agree.
that I wish was a bit different.
And yes, I think there are no, obviously there's no perfect culture, that's for sure. But I think you're right. If it was maybe a bit easier to be a woman in the MENA region, it would have been a better word. But obviously, it's not going to change. So obviously, because of that, do you think that home and your culture are two separate things, or two, I would say, how can I say that? Two things that go together. Do you think they're separated?
I think initially they go together. um I was born in a Middle Eastern household. I grew up with Middle Eastern values and traditions. um
Yes.
I went to school and experienced English values and traditions. Um, what I found is now I can say that it is separate, and the reason I can say it is separate is because I left home, and when I left home, um, I did my best to maintain these cultural aspects and values and traditions that I grew up with. So
Yes.
even if I didn't have a home where I could place them, I had them in myself. It has been difficult because, like I said, I want that community to share it with, to experience it with.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but yeah, I feel like they can be separate. But then where it gets placed into a home is when you have a community, people who share these same ideas as you, these same values as you, and traditions.
Um, how? I mean, this is more, but so we're gonna move forward to the identity section. Uh,
Mm.
have you ever, until now, experienced difficulties to find yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling because it's it's like I was saying earlier. I get told I don't look Lebanese enough, and then
Yes.
and then I
And as you
think
said earlier, from white people and from
people,
POC or from Arabs as well, directly.
yeah, I've
Okay.
had when I yeah, and I've had these people say, you don't look it, you don't sound it. Um, I can speak Arabic, but at times it can be a bit broken.
Okay.
especially because I haven't spoken it in years because I haven't been at home. So because now it takes me longer to be able to speak Arabic, I get made fun of by Arab friends, and they
Yes.
speak Arabic in front of me, thinking I don't understand, and they're saying mean things. And I
Oh,
just respond in English, and I say, I know what you're saying, I understand you, and that usually shocks them, but it does frustrate me. So I struggle with my Lebanese identity because people just tell me that I
like, oh,
should
you
be
have.
Lebanese. And then I struggle with the English identity because people say, okay, you don't look Arab, but you don't look English either. So it's like, okay. And then because of the traditions that I have, which are predominantly Middle Eastern kind of ways of living, this
Yes.
does set me apart. So like I said, at school, the lunch I always had was something like Arabian. And my friends noticed, and I was saying how baklava.
Yes.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. I had by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, baklava is like this sweet pastry
Like
dessert.
Pikachu. Oh my
Yeah,
God, I
with
want it
pistachio or walnuts, and like it's soaked in
now.
syrup,
It's
and it's
so
really
good.
so good. um Literally ask any Arab or Turkish people, whatever, they will.
British, yeah.
Yeah. And my granddad in Lebanon, he used to send us boxes fresh all the way from Lebanon. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom would put it in lunch boxes, and I remember I was so excited. I went to share it with my friend,
Of course.
and I was so happy. And I went to go to the bin to throw away my wrapper, and I saw they threw it away. They didn't like try it or anything. And
Oh my God.
yeah, and then I was like so heartbroken. It's just something that's never left me. Um, so, and because I don't drink, and something I've learned, especially coming to university, is this pub crawl. Everyone.
Some everyone is drinking and
Yeah,
having fun. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like.
you don't have to, but then everyone says things to me like, "Oh, it's funny when you watch us," but I'm always bored. I just sit there drinking tap water. Everyone's getting
Having something.
everyone's getting drunk, and I'm and because of that, a lot of the time I feel left out. So now I can't engage here. So I struggle, and growing up, I struggled with getting to hang out with my English friends. So they didn't really understand me because they didn't get the opportunity to know me, and I didn't really get to understand them because I didn't have the opportunity to get to know them. And
Just to
then,
clarify, when you say British friends, do you mean white British or maybe Asian British?
yeah,
White British, okay.
specifically white, yeah. But then even where I had an issue was growing up, I had a best friend. She was Pakistani. I loved her to death,
Yeah, we're really
honestly.
similar to them, I think.
Yeah,
We're
but
really similar Arabs to
just
Pakistanis.
because we're similar, we're not the same. But all of my white teachers just would point at us, and they were always like, "It's the same."
What?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, that's so.
I'm telling
That
you. I'm telling you, we were
they're
the
putting
same
us like all in
person,
this.
just the same person.
They're
And if
crazy.
some and if they read something that was to do with Pakistani culture, so they'd say, okay, Pakistanis can speak Urdu, So they
Yes,
say, Yara, you must speak that. No, it's
we
Arabic.
don't speak Urdu in Liban. Oh
And
my gosh,
then she would
no.
get the same. She would get the similar things. Um, they would say something like Beirut is in Pakistan, huh? No.
That's weird. Like even my friend, I swear,
And
like even my friend from Pakistan, someone told her like, "Oh, do you speak Arabic?" She was like, "No, we don't speak Arabic." So it's a bit, yeah.
they just merge you. They just merge you, and that's frustrating. It's so. And then the third place where I struggle with my identity is Islam, because
Okay. From childhood, or when you grew up and you realized, or
I think always, because
okay.
growing up, for example, there were my parents would place more of an emphasis of no sex before marriage rather than pray 5 times a day. So
Yes, yes, I know what you mean. Yes, on the least important thing rather than like sadaqah and like give food and yes,
yeah,
I know. Yes.
so I didn't know how to pray. Um, I didn't have a Quran. So it was only when I was older and I got a phone, I was reading the Quran on my phone.
Okay.
And Quranic Arabic is different from the
Of
Arabic we.
course, it's really
So
really hard. Yes.
you have to learn Quranic Arabic, and we didn't have that. So I felt the disconnect there. The only thing it's weird because my parents are practicing Muslims, but they didn't really teach us anything
Yeah.
growing up.
Do you
So,
know why is that? Do you think there is a reason?
well, I don't actually know but it's really interesting because when I came to university, I came to an Islamic society. I joined one, and I spoke
Okay.
to a lot of the sisters there, and a lot of them said their parents didn't teach them either, and that the
Oh,
first time they learned how to pray was at university. So I don't
okay.
know. I don't know why it's like that. In fact, I'm for university. Um, Next year, I'm going to be doing a research proposal, and I'm going to be looking at um, first, second, and third generation Muslims, and see what where the disconnect is, because your parents, when
Yes.
they come here and they kind of don't assimilate as much, and then you feel more English, and your parents will pray 5 times a day, but do you? And I just wanted to see where and why.
Well,
And
okay.
then because I don't cover, I again automatically I do not look Muslim. What is a Muslim supposed to look
Yeah.
like?
Which,
um
yeah, exactly, which doesn't make sense. You
yeah.
could also maybe talk about how the opposite happens. So, people who are from different countries and go to live in the UK, and when
Mm,
they have kids, maybe they are really strict with their kids. So, as you said, some of them they don't teach them how to pray, etc. But some of them do the complete opposite.
and
They
they
don't let
also.
them go out, etc. And I had so many friends in that situation, from Iran, from Syria, from everywhere in the MENA region. And
Mm,
I think it's a really interesting subject that you're gonna write on. But yes.
yeah, because and that is what I wanted to look at, and I wanted to look at the factors that uh affect this. um So yeah, it was only when coming to university I had Muslim friends for the first time, really, and a Muslim community. It was the first time I'd ever been to mosque. So I really, we have a masjid on campus, so I'm really, alhamdulillah, I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's better late than never. So obviously there's no
yeah,
time, but I know what you mean.
yeah, but then I feel upset because I feel behind and I still don't know a lot. And then when people, they always, especially with Islam, they always want to debate with you about your
I
religion.
know.
And I do get upset because I am still learning. I don't always know what to say, and then immediately for white people, that's it, I've won. Rather than I always say, let me go and read, I'll come back to you. But to them, no, I don't want to hear it. I've won. Then your religion is bad, like I said, and then that pisses me off a lot.
I think it will change. I mean, I don't know when, but I feel like our kids' generation will be so much different, honestly, because we are so aware. And what happened to you is really sad. Like when you were a kid and when you gave, for example, the baklava, it's really, really bad. It's not normal. But I feel like
Mm,
our kids' generation will be so different and really aware.
mm.
So I
Like
hope.
what Grace has said, that it's important to be devoted to your religion and to not feel ashamed. And I
I agree with
feel,
you.
yeah, and for me, where I feel secure in my identity with Islam is that when I left home at 16, I said to myself, okay, I do not like the way I was raised. I do not agree with the way I was raised. And I was going through everything that I had been taught in my life, and I was thinking, is this how I want to live? Is this what I want to do? You know, all of these things. And then
Yes.
I thought about it, and I thought, okay, I was born into a Muslim family. Am I Muslim just because I was born into a Muslim family, or am I Muslim because this is what I want to be? I said, now I'm not at home. No one can stop me. I can leave if I
Yeah, of
want.
course.
No? And I thought about it, and I did a lot of reflecting, and I said, you know, I'm happy to be Muslim, and I want to be Muslim. And you know, I believe that there is only one God, and that, you know, Prophet Muhammad, you know, I believe in all of that. So that's where I feel secure in it. That's where I feel like, okay, I've maintained that, and I have that at my core, and no one can take that from me. So now my next step is to continue to learn, and inshallah, you know, build a very good relationship with Allah.
Exactly. And inshallah, I mean, we have time, you know, but
Inshallah, I hope.
yes, inshallah, you will, after this whole weird situation, you will, you know, I don't know what happened, sorry. Yeah, I was saying, I hope you'll meet people from everywhere, you know, like Muslims from the MENA region or not. But I feel like it could really help you as well, to learn more about
Oh,
Islam.
I'm so thankful for the Islamic Society at my university, because I have met Muslims from everywhere, and I've met reverts. So I've met English
Yeah,
people who have, and they're blessed, and they can't even, my heart aches for them because they can't even speak to their families about it. They have to hide it, you know. And that's where I say, you know, subhanallah, like I'm so glad Allah has brought them to us, and they have some kind of family where they don't have to feel any shame. Yeah, but I also love my university, because my university is deeply, deeply multicultural. Almost all of my friends are Black or people of color.
where do you study?
The University of Kent.
Oh, okay, yes.
And I've been very happy to gain insight and perspective into different people's lives and cultures, and meeting people who are, you know, especially all the international students.
Yes.
I really like getting to know them. So yeah, things like that. You are right. It's so good and so beneficial and so important to meet different people. It opens your mind and your perspective on life and everything, and it builds a better understanding and perspective of things, and it forces you. I say force, it sounds like a negative thing, but it's
No,
meant
I know.
to, it forces you to engage with their experiences, and not just live in your own world where everything affects you, but now, you know, the politics and the
The bigger
economic and
picture.
and the social things, it affects everyone around you, and you have to think, how do I contribute to society, and how do I want to contribute to society, and what role do I have, what privileges do I have, where do I have to fight, you know, for the kind of world you want to live in, you know?
Yes, yes. And I think, as we said as well, you know, with the whole BLM, I know it's not a movement, but I would say like what happened a few weeks ago. I think a lot of us just woke up, you know, and realized, oh wait, I do have a sort of white privilege somehow, or you know, oh, I haven't, I don't know, read this book or what that movie, like, you know, I just feel like what happened is good. Well, it's bad, but it's good for some of us because we woke up and you know, and we realized finally. So
Yes, because
yeah,
I feel like I feel for Black people, because they do say, you know, you've just woke up. How? This has been
yes,
happening
exactly.
all the time. And that's why it's like you need to be on it. And then I think to myself, it's like, okay, I've always been interested in activism. I've always, you know, wanted to check my
Do
own racism.
something. Yeah.
but then you know, you read more and you watch, and the most important thing is just to listen, you know.
Yes, I
and
agree with that.
and even for me, I would consider myself to be progressive, but I've had to check myself and check my own privileges. I've noticed that these, again, it's the microaggressions, these things you say and do,
Yes,
where you have to just say and realize it's not okay. and and the best thing you can do is just put your ego aside, be willing to learn
and
and understand, and
yes,
continue to improve. And what I don't like is, and I say it with any form of activism, any form of helping others, is again, put your ego aside. Why does the world have to know I've donated this much? I mean, be transparent and be open. Do
really
not
open. Yes,
be quiet, because it's not important to be. It's not good to be quiet, because being quiet is also a form of, I think, betrayal, because you need to
yes,
speak
and being on the
out.
other side, I agree.
But do not take away anything from Black people. Like, I really can't speak that much for the movement, other than what I do to um, support it.
Yeah,
But I'm not a Black person.
exactly.
And that, you know, I've had racism against me, but again, nothing like, alhamdulillah.
Your color has never been an issue, and
Because
as
I'm
we
white.
said,
Look at
yeah,
creamy, creamy.
exactly. I am considered stunned, but yeah, like you know, I as we said earlier about our friends, for example, maybe now that you have some other Arab friends, some of us are, you know, darker, and maybe they have had experience really bad, you know, things. Maybe not just in the UK, just in Europe in general, or other countries, like places as well.
Yeah, I know.
But I feel like,
Our brown people, they called sand and then N word.
yeah, yes, I mean,
Mm.
there are other words as well. I'm telling you, like, yeah, it's horrible, but just this is, I feel like personally, obviously this is just subjective, but for me it's not about racism in that case, it's about colorism. Like, I have never had a colorism issue as well until now,
Mm.
because I pass as white.
Mm.
However, I had the same issue as you in terms of finding my culture and being a bit confused, like being Arab and Muslim and African but white, and speaking in French. Like, I don't know, it was just a mess in my head. And I think, as you said, at the end of the day, well, for example, you started learning more about your culture when you went away from home, you know.
Mm.
So I think this is what happened with me as well. It's just sometimes, yeah, you just have to actually start, you know, learning and reading and basically acting, and you cannot stay silent about yourself either,
Mm.
even though it's
And
hard.
I mean, I've always had that connection. I do not let anyone take away Islam from me, or
Yes.
being Lebanese from me, or being English from me. Let's see what Grace has said.
Race colors.
Colorism is major as well.
Yes.
Needs to be talked about in all communities, as well as racism.
I agree. Yes. I don't know why it's not as popular as racism, because it's a big issue as well.
Yeah,
It, yeah, I don't know why it's not, you know, as popular.
yeah.
But
Because
yes, I
that's
agree with you,
the
Grace.
darker you
Thank you for
are,
pointing it out.
and the
Yeah,
lighter you are. In fact, if you're darker, you're ugly, and you're
yeah. I
lower.
don't know.
I, it's
It's just, it's so. I know, like, it's not a justification, but it's so, like, old school and behind thinking to think like that. Like, why are you
yeah,
so
progressive. Yeah.
so weird? But yeah,
But
I
this is
hope
the
it will
thing, because
change.
it's the Western values, and now that's just reminded me of something. Because when I feel like ugly, this is again why I went into modeling. I went into modeling because I don't know any Arab models. The closest Arab model I know is like the Hadid sisters, but they're half. And for me, that, see, thank you.
Yeah.
See that this is, for me, it's not even enough. And so I'm thinking, I want to see someone who looks like me, because you know, when I look at, I say looks like me again, like I'm very lucky
Of
because,
course, no, I know what you mean. Yes,
but
yes,
I mean, you know, when I've heard myself, even in the last few months, I look at the models and actors on TV who are blonde hair, blue eyes, and I know that that sounds like I've just said that, but generally I've always said maybe I should go blonde, maybe I should straighten my hair, maybe I
Me
should
too.
chop off my nose, you know, and it's and I realized, okay, I don't just want to have blonde hair. I just basically want to look English.
Exactly. Just
I want to
Western
look
in
English.
general, yes, or yes, white in general,
Yeah.
yes. And you
I
know
just
what?
want to look European, and that's because Western beauty is European.
Yes, and it's also because of, I would say the cartoons, the movies. We don't really have, I mean, until 5 years ago, we didn't have a black princess. Like,
Thank you.
what? Move on,
Mm.
guys. Like, just, and people are gonna say, yeah, we have Pocahontas and Mulan. No, this is cliche Asian princess. No, like, this is not how we are. Like, they're just, I know it's about like movies as well, but I just feel like we're not represented enough.
Yeah, but then
It's
this is
really
the issue
sad.
because when when I say this, people say to me, "Okay, but Arab people they don't go into that profession."
That's not true. Like, it pisses me. Oh my
And the
god.
thing is that think about why we don't go into that profession, because when we audition and when we go to castings, we're told to go home.
Yeah. Oh, your hair is too curly. Or, oh, can you come with straight hair again? Like, next time, come with your hair straight.
Oh
No,
my!
this is not how my
Every
hair
time
is.
when I do runways and they have my hair, they always want to straighten it, and I always go home.
Yeah, you
I see
shouldn't.
smoke. I see smoke, and I'm like,
Mine is still drying, but it's curly like yours. But yeah.
yeah, I've seen you have really beautiful curly hair.
Thank you. You too.
Um,
But yeah, we shouldn't hide our hair. And so many times when I was a kid, I was telling my mom, oh, please, can I like blow dry my hair? My mom was like, no, you have like beautiful hair. And then when I grew up, I was like, wait, now I know why I wanted that bad, like.
I straightened my hair at a lot, and I was told, I was always told when I came in with straightened hair. I always remember this. They would say things like, "Yara, you look pretty today because your hair is straight. Just today."
Oh my god.
When my hair was curly, I remember people used to throw stuff in my hair because it would stick. Let's see. Lamia said, in Arab society, only people with more European features get considered beautiful, and I agree with that.
That's true, Lamia. And I think you said you're from Morocco, if I'm correct. I agree. And in Morocco as well, actually, like the Miss Morocco has been, I think, like 2 years ago, chosen. And she was very white compared to the rest of Morocco. So people were really angry. Um, but yes, I agree with you, Lamia. And also, Grace said the only thing people know about Arab countries are what is shown on TV, which is never an accurate representation. That is
It's
true.
as poor. Arab people are shown as terrorists. We're always the bad guys in films.
With the bad guys, and we are very like impolite, apparently.
And if there's a Muslim girl who's usually, again, it's just a token character. She wants to take off her hijab. She wants to drink. She wants to eat
Different.
pork. Unhappy. She's oppressed. Free me, all my American friends.
We're not all like that. Like, I'm so sorry, but some Arabs are Christian, some Arabs are Jewish, some Arabs are Muslim. So that's the first of all. And second, we're not all oppressed. What? And we're not all not eating pork, or like we're not all religious. That's, yeah, it's a really bad thing.
Put in a box, and again with the Black Lives Matter movement, this is what a lot of black people are saying. They've just all been put in one box.
Yes.
You know, you're one black person that speaks for all black people.
Yeah, and
One
same for there's yeah.
for all Muslims.
Yeah. It's not like, or like one Arab speaking for all of us. No, but we're all different. You cannot compare like North Africa to the Middle East. Yes, we're all like similar, but we're not the same. So
Because if you say to an English person, "Oh, England and France are similar," they would get so angry at you.
yeah.
Don't
And yes,
compare
they're not. Yeah.
frogs. Don't compare me to the frogs. That's
Yeah.
what the English would say. We're different.
Yes.
We're different.
So they shouldn't do it with us. like we're not doing it with them. Like,
Mm.
you know, I've seen this speech, and this I think I'm not sure, I think this girl was from Nigeria, I think. She
Mm.
was saying, I mean, she was Nigerian, but born in the US. She was saying, we learned your Portuguese, we learned your English, we learned your French, all your languages, but you haven't learned anything about us. Talking about like POC
But
people.
we're barbaric. We are barbaric. We are backwards. The
Like,
English
come on.
our head. We are barbaric because,
It's
and we are dirty.
it will change. I'm telling you. Like all those old people thinking like that, they're gonna die, and then it's just gonna be the new people.
I think
Hopefully.
it's that's a interesting argument when I hear people say that, because I'm pretty sure even those old people, that they even said, "Oh, we're just waiting for the old people to die, and then it will be what we want." So I really think that. So I'm not sure about we're just waiting for people to die. I think it's about raising awareness and trying to change people's minds. And a lot of people say, okay, but they're stubborn, they're never going to change their mind. It's a strange one, because I really do feel like you can, through discussions and awareness and experience and exposure, it can change people's minds at any age.
Yeah,
Um,
it's it's hard. I cannot imagine myself talking about that to my grandparents. They won't even understand, to be honest with you.
yeah,
Uh,
and I don't even disagree with you. And I think about how, you know, a lot of people are saying, especially to white people, you need to speak to your racist parents and your racist grandparents, and then they say, well, how do I do it? And I struggle, and they're not going to listen. Um, is actually a lot of literature. Maybe we can post it with the Rich
Good
Journal
idea. Yes.
for how people can talk about these things with their friends and their families and stuff.
Yes. What happened? From my experience, I have never experienced racism, but a lot of ignorance and yes. Lemna, if you can write more, like, can you tell us about that, please, in the comments? That would be really nice to talk about. I have another, I mean, two last questions for you.
Mm.
How would you define diaspora?
Uh, um,
Sorry for the hard questions. But, yeah.
uh, I think the way I would define it as, it's going to be quite a negative definition, but
It's fine, don't worry, it's professional.
I feel like for me, it's feeling disconnected and feeling
Okay.
displaced and feeling not enough for any of the cultures you are a part of. A lot of people say to me, why are you upset? You are so lucky you have two cultures. And I feel like they are not listening to me or understanding me when or they think that I am ungrateful, but they don't understand that I'm too halal for my English friends, my white friends,
Oops.
and
Sorry.
I'm too haram for my Arab friends,
Arab
Muslim
friends.
friends. Yeah, I'm too white for my Arab friends. I'm too Arab for my English friends. So now, so for me, I'm like, okay, where do I belong? My Arab friends say I'm not enough. I'm not enough for the Muslim community. I'm not enough for the English community, and the cultures. So for me, being, being a person of diaspora, I I do not feel connected anywhere. I do not feel like I belong anywhere. I am still on a journey
Yes.
of feeling settled. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it has affected you, right? But
Mm,
in most probably in a negative way, if you would
mm.
describe it like that. Okay. It does make sense. It does. It's yeah.
What about for you? Has it affected you negatively or positively? I would say
It's
the positive thing is that I get to experience all these different things. Where I get upset is that I get to experience it, but I don't get to be included.
yes. I think it's really hard because you're not. You said, for example, you're not enough for the UK. I'm not enough for Morocco because I'm white. but I'm not enough for the UK because I'm international. And then
mm,
I'm not enough for France, even though
mm.
like it's my first language, because I have a Moroccan accent in French,
Oh.
etc., etc. You know, it's
But I feel that because I speak Arabic and French and English.
yeah,
And for me, Arabic and French are the sort of first language because especially in Lebanon,
yes,
it's just the same one, yeah. And
yeah.
then it's English. I learned English for going to school, um, and it's just a bit frustrating.
It's what you said is so relevant that I cannot even add words on it. Like we're just at the end of the day. For example, you were born in the UK,
Mm,
but I wasn't even born in the UK. I lived there since 5 years. And even though
mm,
I'm like pure Moroccan, I still don't feel enough for Morocco because I was in a French school, because my parents are white passing and I'm white passing as well, because
mm,
I don't really speak Arabic like you, as you said earlier. I mean, I
mm,
do, but it's very like quick, you know, I speak better in English. And I think like at the end of the day, as you said, it takes time, but what
mm,
the only things we can do is read, ask
mm,
questions,
mm,
basically not stay silent. And I'm not talking just about what we said earlier about like identity and you know, culture, but I'm also talking about BLM and everything else. And Arab people and people from the MENA region, we have a voice, but we don't use it.
mm,
We are so important, but we don't. I don't know why we're not like. It's really weird. Like we're not talking enough about all
mm.
those issues.
This is what I was saying. Rich Journal is the first I've
Yes,
seen.
I'm so happy.
It's the first I've seen, and to say, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy, and I feel relief, and I feel excitement because it's the first time I've seen anything, especially for people of color.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and for
Because
Arab
yeah,
people, because I also feel like statistically, I have looked up the numbers. I have forgotten, but statistically, especially in the UK, Arabs make up like point something percent, not even 1 or 2%.
yes,
So and people say to me, that's why you're not represented, because there's not enough of you residing here to represent you. But then I think, well, I'm here, I do not feel represented. So uh I'm just trying to think what my point was now. It's just
no,
gone.
I know what you wanted to say is it's not because the number is small that we shouldn't be represented, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
uh and this is it, because it goes, for me, people talking about, and I'm not saying it's spoken about even a lot for these other ones, but I hear black, then I hear anyone from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Latinos.
Yes.
I hear Asians, brown Asians, and Chinese Asians, Koreans, things like that.
Yes.
You go through, then it's like the Jewish community, this, and then it's Arabs, and no one, and people, they stop listening at black people, let alone anywhere about Arabs. I really do not
Yeah.
feel spoken about enough. People, when I say I'm from Lebanon, people are like, I've never heard of that before.
Okay, this one is a bit too much. Like, come on. How can you not know? Like,
A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you told me you're from Lebanon, so I had to go home and Google it."
I'm gonna cry. Actually, someone once told me, "Oh, is Marrakesh a country?" And I was like, "No, it's the touristic capital of Morocco." But okay. I was so traumatized. I swear, I was just like, ah.
Mm.
It's like if someone tells me, "Yeah, is Beirut a country?" No, it's not. Like so weird. But anyways, I think it's
Because
gonna be the end of the live soon.
yeah,
Sorry, but go on, go on.
no,
What do
no,
you want to
no.
say?
I was just reading what Leia
Oh
was
yes,
saying.
yeah. It may cut off, you know. And yes, Hella said that's just sheer ignorance, exactly. And as you said,
Mm.
Yara as well. It's gonna change, but we have to talk. So
Mm.
we have to talk, guys. If there is anyone here who has any idea on what we can do apart from posting and doing lives, where we might make some events next year as well. But please, we all have to talk. that's how it's gonna change.
Hmm.
It
Thank
has
you for
to.
that, baby.
Thank
And
you
yeah,
so much, Yara.
for having me.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to meet you.
And you.
Take
Okay.
care.